Watch the ride.
Hey everybody, I'm trying a new style of video today, spicy takes. Yes, this is like hot takes, and I'm not going to make lots of these, it'll just make one periodically. But it's when I want to talk about a subject which I maybe have been holding off a little bit with, and then something happens that just says, look, I'm going to talk about this because it's getting silly. So as you may know, over the past 10 years-ish, I've been making videos to help people get onto a motorcycle, whether that be demystifying what's in the test, teaching some skills, just anything like that really. I've made lots of videos to help people get through their bike tests and even inspire people to go and take them. And hundreds of people have accredited me through comments, you can go and look at my 100,000 subscriber special video, for helping them get onto two wheels. So let that be known that not only have I worked to help you get onto two wheels and help save you money along the way, I have actively done this for 10 years. I'm not against getting new people on bikes. When I make videos talking about the licenses, and particularly when they propose license changes like they recently did with the CBT, they in short want to add the theory onto it. That's really what it comes down to, which I think is perfectly reasonable. You know, to need to know the rules of the road, to use the road to a competent level you can pass the theory test. I don't think that's that big a deal. It is annoying if you keep redoing your CBT, and that's something I'll get into later on. But anyway, my point is this. Whenever I do these videos talking about licenses and way the thing should or shouldn't be, people start saying some utterly, entirely self-related, ludicrous stuff. The CBT should last forever if you've had 3 of them. Well, I had 4 of them. At no point did I think that I should have kept it forever because I've wanted to do that. That was a full license. There is nothing like the CBT for car drivers. You see, the CBT is to make up for the fact that you can't, for instance, drive in your parents' car with them in the passenger seat. That's not possible on a bike. And I see this and I'm like, I know, we're all young at some point, or people just want things to, I can understand the frustration of, you know, as I say, I did 4 CBTs of trying to get to that full license. I saved the money, something came along, it annihilated my money for my license, and that kept happening, and it held me back for a long time until I was able to go and do my full test. So I understand the frustration and I want to help people onto a motorcycle. But as I say, people come out with some ludicrous things, and I've let it slide. I've let it slide and let it slide. And then this comment came in. Now, as I say, I'm sorry to single you out. I have removed your name. Don't go after this person. They're just sharing their opinion, and maybe they don't think about it enough. But to suggest that people who have a motorcycle license want to make it harder for people to get onto bikes, to get the CBT, because they've already got one and they don't care, is ludicrous. You know, as I said, the people in this conversation, people who haven't done a CBT or anything like that, versus people who've done CBTs, multiple CBTs, and full licenses and stuff, who's the more informed person to make a decision as to whether the current license rules are suitable for our current road conditions? Well, clearly not the person with 0 experience in it. That goes without saying. So what are you even talking about? Now, I respect your opinion. I understand what you're saying, but it's not true. And I want to explain to you why it's not the case. The fact of the matter is this. I started riding on the road about 15 odd years ago now. The roads from 15 years ago compared to now are totally different. There are so many more cars, and the attitude since COVID of drivers has got so bad, and the driving standard, and I'm talking about car drivers here, has got so bad in those couple of years where a lot of people didn't drive, that it is a different experience of riding a motorcycle. Many people will vouch for this. I have never seen so many poor drivers, and indeed bad riders, as I have done since lockdown. You know, the poor drivers comes from the fact that they just didn't drive for a long time, and there's poor drivers anyway, and that just emphasises their lack of skill and knowledge. That's the other thing. It's like someone was talking about tailgaters the other day. I honestly agree that I don't think most tailgaters know they're tailgating. They just don't know what a safe following distance is. Because they look completely normal, they're not mad at you or anything, they're just right up your arse, and you're like, what are you doing? But they just don't realise they're way too close. My opinion on it is this: the world has changed enough that the CBT alone, unless it's done to the word of the way it's supposed to be done, the full 8-hour day, and your instructor cares about making sure that you're safe on the road and gives you all the training and advice they possibly can and done it in the best way, I don't think the CBT is really enough anymore. If they had a short, a 10-question questionnaire with them on the CBT day to see what their road knowledge was like, and then they said, no, you're going to need to come back once you've learnt a bit more, I can understand that. That may be more fair than sending someone off for an actual theory test. But the actual theory test is, I think it's 30 or 35 quid. It's not particularly difficult. The hazard perception, people think that's complete rubbish and it's stupid. No, the answer to the hazard perception test is simple. It's a lot more blatant than you'd think. No, even more blatant than that. I was looking like, oh, I think I can see like a van round that corner as you're approaching this hedge. Maybe I'd hang back here. No. You have to wait for the sheep to walk out on the road. That's the sort of level of what we're talking here. So as I say, I'm fully for getting more people on the road. We need more people on motorcycles. We need more young people on motorcycles. We need to really boost the gene pool of the biking world in the UK anyway, because it's getting very much older. And I know a lot of the reasons people say that, they haven't gone for a motorcycle test is because it's just too expensive. It's just too expensive. Well, you're going to need transport at some point. We all know that. And getting a CBT and a 125 is cheaper than a car. So I'm afraid that kind of destroys that argument immediately. You may not have the money to do the test at the moment, maybe because you don't work, or maybe because you don't save enough, you don't earn enough, because they don't pay you enough, because you're young and, the minimum wage is ridiculously too low. Because this is the thing. People who are in their late teens and early 20s and that, they're the people trying to set themselves up for life. They need to get through their car license. They need to get a car. They need to, may need to get somewhere to live immediately. They may need to do all these things. And they want to get a job and get themselves on the ladder of life and get going. And yet those people don't get paid as much as people a few years older than them who've now been through that. So it's almost like the system is set up so when you're young you go into debt, and once you're in debt you're used to being in debt, and you're also, when you're young you're more likely to make some silly decisions. We've all done it, well, not all of us, but I had a credit card at one point, started with a business purchase, and it ended up being in a situation where I was a bit stuck and I had to use it, and it took me years to clear that thing, but I did. I cleared it, it's gone. But yeah, I can see how it's very frustrating, and it feels like everything's against you from the world to stop you getting a motorcycle. And now they want to throw a theory in as well, and you've got to redo that every 2 years when you do the CBT, which I agree is stupid. But I understand why they're doing it. The problem is the standard of riders you're seeing now, and the mentality of these people on bikes nowadays. UK biking culture, the whole, a bike life, all the gang stuff, all the TikTok stuff, none of that existed in the biking community before. That is now the young biking community. That's where they're all at. They're on TikTok. They're not on YouTube. Some of you are here, but the majority of people now, younger people on motorcycles, are doing this whole TikTok thing. And I'm older. I really dislike a lot of what they're doing, if I'm completely honest, but I'm older and I'm thinking I'm just a grumpy old man. If I see one more, if I died on my bike, then at least know I died happy. Look, go and get some help with your mental health issues, okay? And stop risking other people by riding like a complete knob. I have mental health issues, okay? I understand how riding a bike flat out, getting all that adrenaline pumped through you, kind of takes your mind off of all the other things. But it's not a really healthy way of doing stuff. Time and a place. Safe moments. The core of my point is this. No, I don't want to make the motorcycle test harder for other people. I want it to make them safer. I want them to have a better chance of not having a crash in 5 minutes or being terrified of the bike and then giving up on biking for the rest of their lives. There are two types of bikers, okay, when they start out. Those are those that get a bike and carry on riding forever, pretty much, and those who get a bike, get scared and sell it. Now, some of you might go, that's not me, I wasn't scared, I love bikes and I had to sell it because I couldn't afford it. I agree with you. I'm not talking about you, I'm being hyperbolic here. But my point is, the amount of people who get rid of their bike and blame it on, or don't get a bike and blame it on every other factor in the world other than I am scared to do it, or I don't think I'm good enough to pass it. I mean, another one that came up recently was someone said that they think it's outrageous that they would have to do a CBT in the UK because they've had a car license and they've ridden bikes in China and India and places like that, and why should I have to take a CBT in this country to ride? Because you haven't ridden in the UK, presumably. You see, the thing is, taking the tests is actually about 20% riding the bike, physically knowing what to do with the controls and stuff. The other 80% is knowing how to pass the test. Now, when it comes to a CBT, oh my god, if you can't pass your CBT, well, you need more practice, but don't blame the CBT. If they throw the theory in, yeah, okay, that makes it slightly more difficult, but not that much more difficult, if we're fair. It's a lot more annoying if you have to do it again every couple of years, I agree, but I don't think that it is that bad that they are trying to hold you to a higher standard because the roads are more risky than they used to be. It might be a spicy take, And I don't want to, push people out of biking. I don't want it to be too expensive for you. I want you to realise that it's not difficult. You've just got to work a bit longer and just, an extra 35 quid, get that theory test done. Oh my God! Get the mobile apps for the theory. Just keep doing them and keep doing them and keep doing them until you pass. One of the apps I used, you do a few practice tests and then it highlights where your strengths and weaknesses are, and then when you do more questions, it will give you questions in the areas you're weak on, and it won't give you so many on the areas you're strong on. Fantastic way of learning, and it really helped me get through the theory. Now, I'm dyslexic, okay? I can read and write and all that. Spelling's a little bit difficult at times, but I generally taught myself out of dyslexia as much as I could. Every written test to me has always been that extra stress. Now, I think I was given extra time in it for being dyslexic, and also you're using a headset on the computer, you can click on the things and it will read the questions to you. I think it is possible that the government would like to remove the CBT at some point. However, the people proposing the changes are not the government. The people proposing the changes were the UK body of motorcycles sort of thing. There was 2 of them who got together. So they are, people representing you as a motorcyclist to the government, suggesting the rules that they think are necessary to keep bikers in the UK safe. In other words, the UK government don't tell bikers what to do. Bikers come together, have a consortium and tell the government what to do for bikers. Now, as I say, I totally see that timeline of the CBT being removed as a thing that could happen. But equally, I have the question, as I said at the beginning, remember the CBT is special, it doesn't exist for cars. There is no way of someone learning on a smaller motorcycle to move onto a larger motorcycle if they can't get onto a small motorcycle easily. How can you do your A1 if you can't practice to do it? Obviously, the only way around, if they actually remove the CBT, would be for you to go to a school and basically do direct access to A1 by doing days and days and days of training. But whereas like with your A2, where you've had the experience of the CBT to know how to physically ride a bike and understand the rules of the road and all that, and now you've just got to add the challenge of a slightly heavier bike, even though it's actually easier. Why did I indicate for that corner? If you think about a corner, you indicate. It's built into you. That's the point. You need to have stuff like that built into you. So I thus conclude, even if they do add the theory to the CBT, be happy it's still there, because you need it to get onto the next steps, to the next rungs of the ladder. Yes, I agree. I think the government, in a way, would love it if everyone got a full motorcycle licence or a full licence. But, people say, oh, it's a money-making scheme. The people making most of the money are the schools. When you go and do your Mod 1, Mod 2 tests, the actual physical tests themselves cost £100. The other hundreds of pounds that you pay is for the bike hire and for the time of the trainers to train you. It's not going to the government. So this whole thing about, oh, it's just a money-making thing for the government, is just not true. There's nothing to that. They're not getting the money, are they? I mean, all right, they're getting the test fees. Oh, they get like double that out of you in tax every month. So there you go. There is my spicy take on motorcycle licenses, the CBT and all that sort of stuff. I'm sorry, the world cannot conform to make things easier for you. And the realities of this world and the roads of the past few years is that I do think that if the CBT is not fully done the way it's supposed to be, which is happening a lot, then it's putting people out on the road in very dangerous situations. And also, people are being a little bit silly, a little bit more silly than they used to be about motorcycles. A little try-hardy, a little over the top sometimes. As I say, maybe I'm just a grumpy old man shouting at the wind again, but when it comes to the CBT and understanding the risks of the road, experienced riders have got more experience than people who have no experience. If you have no experience, you have no opinion, because you have no opinion to have an opinion, because you have no experience to know to have an opinion. And I'm not trying to remove your ability to have an opinion there. You can just say it sucks, I wish it wasn't that way, but there is reasons that it is. I don't necessarily agree with it, but in the face of what we see in the world, it actually makes sense. If you liked the video, please like the video, subscribe if you're new here, and if you've got any other spicy takes you'd like to hear my opinion on, then please ask in the comments. However, I won't be making loads of these. I don't want to cause arguments, and mostly because people very, very rarely get exactly what you're trying to say through a YouTube video. I know I'm going to get comments on this that I'm like, you didn't even watch it. What are you talking about? You didn't even watch it. You don't get the basic point of what I'm trying to say here. So safe riding, good luck getting on 2 wheels. My playlist tips for new riders is there, and if you've got any questions about how to get onto a bike or anything like that, ask in the comments. I have helped hundreds of you get onto 2 wheels. Do it, it's amazing. It's worth the effort. So until the next one, bye bye.